This video is sponsored by the Arc Echoes of Arcadia Light RP. Hello and welcome, and today's video I'm going to share with you the 5 best Arc game changers. So let's just get straight into it, shall we? In at number 5 we've got the Yutyrannus, and I really can't imagine Arc without this creature being here. And I know it is a 2017 creature, so it did come a little bit later than some of the others on this list, but still there are 2 of the creatures on this list have not been in the game for a while, and I really just can't live without them now. They are absolute game changers, but it's obvious why the UT is here. This really does aid in boss fight scenarios, and bosses are quite an important thing in Arc, okay? And I'm sure you all know this by now, but the UT has a courage roll which buffs your own creatures and also debuffs the enemy creatures, allowing you to deal more damage to those creatures which you're trying to kill, of course. And also it will take it will add damage reduction to your creatures as well, so the creatures that you're attacking can't even do as much damage to you, and you can do even more damage to them. It's pretty OP when you think about it, and this creature is a front runner when it comes to boss fights, and you really can't do one without it unless it's incredibly short, and then it simply isn't necessary. While the Daedon is a sort of nice addition, this again is a front runner. It is a superstar. It really is the star of the show when it comes to Arc creatures and game changes. Out of every single Arc, or out of all the Arc creatures, if I just had these 5 creatures, then I would actually be pretty okay with it, and the UT in my opinion just really does have to make the list. At number 4 we have got the Baryonyx, and come on, it deserves to be here, especially with a creature like this. The Baryonyx obviously spawns in the swamp biome, or for some reason the spawns on ASA a little bit bugged, so just sort of any river area, and you know, it is the go-to for caving, and that is why I need to put it here, because getting the artifacts is arguably more important than doing the bosses, as you do need the artifacts to get your bosses done in the first place. Without artifacts you simply can't do any of the bosses unless someone else gets the artifacts for you, and in reality that simply is not going to happen. The Barry is also just generally a great travelling mount too. You can get a lot done with traversing the map with a creature like this, and you shouldn't really have any issues travelling around the map with a creature like this. They can jump as well, which just adds an extra little bit of fluidity into their movements. They're great swimmers too. It does make sense, they are pescatarian after all, or they eat fish. I think ichthyophagus is the actual proper word for it. Pescatarian is more of a human term. They can stun creatures up to the size of a Megalodon as well, which is just, it's a great ability to have, especially for those underwater caves too. It gives you a little bit more of a sense of security. Yes, for some of those bigger creatures it doesn't, but it gives you enough where you can keep traversing through those caves with absolute ease. A Basilo would do it as well, but I find this creature just to be much more useful and effective. Now, as I stated earlier, this video is sponsored by the Arc Echoes of Arcadia Light RP, and I'm really thankful for them reaching out for me. But I want to tell you why this is the best Arc server out there. It is the most immersive RP server by far. I love all of the time that I've spent with it, and so far I've thoroughly enjoyed all the playthrough, and that is due to daily and weekly large events. So you get an event daily, but you get a weekly large event. On top of that, there's 9 GB of DLC full conversion, which just adds a whole new way to play. There's a fresh wipe at the moment as well, so if you want to get started, you really can do well. There's over 60 mods, over 75 new creatures, there's all the DLC creatures there, it's on the center. You are going to have the best time on this map, and there's even 12 unique basic classes, and with a server like this with 100% uptime, there's really nothing that can go wrong. So scan the QR code on screen, or there'll be a link in the description to join the server right away. In number 3 we have got the Desmodus, and come on, this creature does need to be here in my opinion. This is sort of my go-to travelling mount. Yes, a Pteranodon and things like that will do very nicely, but also there is a creature after it which does do a lot better for travelling, and the main creature, well, the main reason why I've put this thing here, don't know what I was saying, but the main reason why I put this thing here is because of Sanguine Elixir. As a PvE player, and also PvP players will relate, taming is a very big part of Arc, but I spend most of my time of the game actually just taming. I don't really do a lot of combat and things like that apart from bosses. Again, I'm not a PvP player. PvP players speak out, how much of your game time do you probably spend taming? Because for me, it is well over 50%, especially when I'm in the late game. I absolutely love doing it, and the Sanguine Elixir just makes that even easier for me to do. And obviously the Desmodus is a really cool creature. It's great for farming blood bags for the Bloodstalker. I was tempted to put that on the list as well because of how much I love it for underwater travel, but the Barry does enough to sort of warrant the Bloodstalker not being on the list, and I don't think it is in the like 5 game-changing creatures in my opinion. In number 2 we have got the Maewing. This is the king of travel. I really can't find anything out there that does actually surpass this creature in terms of just a true game changer in terms of travel. Nothing beats it again in my opinion. The sheer speed is great and immense, and if I wanted an actual proper flyer, then I would always go with the Desmodus. I know again not all these creatures spawn on the islands, but I do a lot of transferring these days, and the first two do with obviously the Yutyrannus and the Barry spawning on the island, whereas the Desmodus, the Maewing, and a creature which you might know already if you've watched my channel a little bit, it is sort of predictable what's in the number 1 spot. They do not spawn on the islands, but luckily transfers are a thing, and it's sort of why I'm not really playing a lot of ASA at the moment, because these 3 creatures aren't simply available on the traditional maps that they be on it. Yes, you can still have them in the game, but still I'd like to wait for the maps to come out, and I wouldn't just put them on like that. I much prefer to just tame them on the map that they originated from, or a map where they do sort of more locally spawn, and the island is not a place where you're going to be finding the Maewing. For breeding as well, it is absolutely amazing. You can carry 4 babies around in its saddle no matter the size. Doesn't really work physics wise, but games don't really. They're pretty decent swimmers too, and then gather berries, and obviously they act as a portable feeding trough when you're breeding. And in number 1 we have got the Deinonychus. This is just, ever since it's come out, it has since like just always been my favourite tame, and it's just been growing on me ever since its release, and it keeps building a stronger relationship for me. If I want a boss creature, I'll go for the Deinonychus, excluding the Moda, but it's so insignificant in terms of bosses. The same for the bosses, the Titans. It makes up such a small proportion of all of the Arc bosses out there. I'm talking custom maps and the official ones, that the Deinonychus is just the way to go. And they would definitely be in the top 10 creatures for the extinction bosses and defeating the Moda, but in the top 5 I don't think they have to make it. But the Deinonychus has the pack buff, and it's the only creature as far as I'm aware. I think some people said there's a factionist can deal bleed damage to bosses, but still I don't really see that being all too relevant. It's the only one really within good reason that deals bleed damage to bosses, and it's absolutely OP. You can just grapple onto them like you saw with that Bronto and just rip them to shreds. You really can't find a better creature for doing bosses in my opinion than the Deinonychus, especially once you've got a pack of them as well with mate boost. You've got so many buffs, and you can even bring a UC into the mix as well, although usually I don't tend to do that with Deinonychuses as much unless it's a longer fight. Then I'll go around on my UC and maybe do a little bit there, a little bit here, or a little bit here and there you could say. But the Deinonychus bleed usually takes things out quite quickly, and you do sort of have to do it yourself, because the other creatures in your pack, as far as I'm aware, they don't really do that. At least they don't to my imagination. They're also great climbers, great traversers of obstacles too. But anyway, that is the end of today's video. I really hope that you all did enjoy. I know it's a shorter one, but I've got schoolwork and all kinds of music work going on at the moment, so don't really have the time for a full top 10, but I hope you enjoyed, and I guess I'll just see you all in the next one.